gets all of them into his liquor business. As we see in the story, Harry makes away with the entire money, and Walter's dream of becoming a manager of a liquor company did not come to fruition anymore. Neither is Benita able to complete her medical studies, because the money meant for such completion was made away, or is made away with by Will Harris. Of course, the only person that appears to have succeeded towards the end of the story, we see Lena and of course the children moving to the white neighborhood, having secured a house in the white neighborhood. And of course the play ends with all of them eventually moving to the white neighborhood. Now this is the plot of the story of Lorraine Hansberry, Erasing in the Sun. Now let's talk about the setting. When we talk about the setting of a play, we are talking about two things. It could be the temporal setting or the spatial setting. The temporal setting takes care of the period of time in which the play or story is set. For Lorraine Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun, it is set between 1945 and 1959, during the racial period in the United States of America. It has not stopped, it is still there, but in a very subtle means, subtle manner, subtle manifestation. So even in the United States of America and in Britain, in most of these European countries where they preach equality of human, we see that it is not really equality. We discover that racism is manifesting in a subtle manner too. So Lorraine Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun is set between 1945 and 1959, and that is the temporal setting. Now for the spatial setting, it is set in the south side of Chicago. Don't forget that Lorraine Hansberry grew up in south side Chicago while she was growing up. So you can see that there is a clear relationship between the background of Lorraine Hansberry, the playwright, and of course the play itself. And that's why we said you must have to understand the background of the playwright so that you understand the story very well. The next is the themes. Of course, you know that the theme of a work of art is different from the title. While the title of a work of art is sometimes related to the theme, oftentimes it is equally a mark of identity. But the theme of a work of art has to do with the lessons that are deducible from the work of art. So when we talk about themes, we could have more than one, but there can only be one title to the work of art. But there could be as many themes as there are a number of persons that have read them, and from what perspective they have read. As we would always say, you get something out of a work based on what you take into the work of art. So whatever you get from the work of art, it's almost exactly what you take into it, you understand? So we have different themes in Lorraine Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun, but I shall focus on three major themes. Of course, for any work of art, there is always one towering theme around which all other sub-themes revolve. But now for Lorraine Hansberry, the themes of poverty, feminist struggle, and racism are very prominent. Let's talk about the theme of poverty. Because by the time the play opens and we see the characters where they stay, we know that they are living in poverty. And of course, you see, for a family of 5, all depending on $10,000, everyone has their dream revolving around the $10,000. That is a mirage before it came. It was a mirage before it came, because it could not have come. Something may have happened, so everyone was waiting for the $10,000. Of course, even in the story, we learn that Walter Lee is a chef for a white man. So imagine someone who is a chef for a white man. So it means that he may not have enough to run the family, and is married with a son, Travis. You get it? And the man, that's the bigger, younger, died working for the white man too. So they were living in poverty. The woman, that's Lena, the eldest in the family, had little or nothing doing. So everyone had little or nothing doing. There was poverty. So poverty, and of course, you can see that poverty is indeed a very major theme in Lorraine Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun. And did I tell you that the title of the work, Erasing the Sun, is coined from Langston Hughes' Harlem, A Dream Deferred. In about the second or third line of that Harlem is a poem written by Langston Hughes. It's a poem. So in about the third or fourth line of that poem, we see the line "Erasing in the Sun." So that is from where Lorian Hansberry coins the title of this play. Now let us go ahead with the themes. The next theme is the theme of feminist struggle. Feminism is a movement that is becoming almost a problem in the present society. There is always agitation by the women that they are being oppressed by the men. So because of this feeling of oppression, which is to some people real, to some people not real, there is always this combative nature of women trying to, if you like, usurp power from the men, or trying to assert their existence as living humans, not weaker vessels. And that is why it is always common to hear them say that women, that whatever a man can do, a woman can do, and they've even added that a woman can do better. So we see this touch of feminist struggle in Lorian Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun. How? The main character in that work is Lena, a female. That is the absence of a father figure in that house. So the writer consciously creates a father figure in a female character. When the check for the $10,000 is given to her, she raises it up like this, she holds it like this, which means that she is the one holding the knife, if you like, and the yam, if you like. Whoever she wishes, she gives a portion. So it's a conscious attempt to assert the power, the ability of the female gender. So it's a female struggle. Of course, still in that work, we see the character Benita becoming what people would describe as rascally, or what others would see as unwoman, quote and unquote. Yes, for a woman to have even decided to study medicine, which is for some people a course that is the exclusive reserve of male, it's a way of asserting herself. Yes, she rejects the proposal by George, who is a black too, but behaves like a white, and decides to embrace the proposal from Joseph Asagi, a Nigerian character in that work. So she has the right to do whatever she wants to do. From the beginning of the work, we see that she has a straight hair, but towards the end of the work, we see her coming up with afro, meaning that she has embraced the African way of life. So she has a say. The writer consciously creates that character who does whatever she wants to do. Even Ruth, the female character, to that, has the wife to, to Walter, gets pregnant, that's after Travis, and goes for an abortion, even without telling her husband. At that time, when this play is set, a woman going for an abortion without telling the husband, because she feels that having another child will bring a financial burden on the family that is financially bedridden already. So that's to show you that the author of the work consciously creates female characters who assert themselves. And we see that assertion first in Lena, the eldest female character in that book, asserting herself, gathering her children, putting them together, taking care of their needs, asking them questions and providing answers to their problems. So we see that that work revolves around feminist struggle. The next other very important theme in that work is racism. Racism is a feeling that one's race is superior to another's. That is racism. Of course, we see the whites claiming to be superior to the blacks, and that is why they will do anything to make sure that the blacks do not find their way into their neighborhood. When eventually some of the whites learn that Lena has bought a house in the white neighborhood, they send Mr. Carr to come to them and offer them a huge amount of money so that they will not move into the white neighborhood. That is racism. They will do everything to stop a black from moving into their white neighborhood. And of course the blacks too will try as much as they can not to move into the white neighborhood. So any black who dares to, for whatever reason, find himself or herself into the black neighborhood is protesting, so to speak, that yes, whatever the whites can do, we too can do. That's of course what Lorian Hansberry's father did when he buys a house in a white neighborhood during when Lorian Hansberry was still growing up. So that is what Lorian Hansberry weaves into the story. So racism is very, very prominent in the story as a theme. So we've seen about 3 themes in Lorian Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun. We've seen poverty, we've seen feminist struggle, and of course we've seen racism. There are other themes that abound in that work, but time will not allow us to talk about all of them. I'm sure you're going to pick a copy of that and see for yourself. The next is characterization. When we talk about characterization, it's different from a character. A character could be the cast on stage. Characterization is what the playwright makes them to do. What the playwright makes the character to do is what we refer to as characterization. We have one, Walter Lee, for instance. Walter Lee Younger. Walter Lee Younger, as I've said earlier, is the only son of Lena. That is Lena Younger. And of course, he is the character who wishes to start a liquor business using some part of the insurance money from his father, from his dead father. He wishes to start a liquor business. Of course, we all know, like I said, that such a dream was deferred or perished, if you like, because it never came through. And Harris, his friend, makes away with the money. And we see that Walter Lee is a very assertive character. Very assertive character. He does not understand why Benita wants to study medicine at the expense of the family's dream or his dream. He believes that he should be given preference, that the money, the insurance money of $10,000 should be given to him so that he starts his liquor business. He thinks that as a man, that the burden of the family of Younger rests on his shoulder. So he does not understand why Benita wants to study medicine and wants to graduate as a medical doctor. That is too large a dream for a woman. So we see that Walter Lee, a character in that work, was a little chauvinistic, if you like. The next character is Benita Younger. Yes, Benita is the female daughter, the daughter of Lena, that's Lena Younger. And we have said that she's a very assertive character. Very, very assertive character. A character who at that point in time when women were left in the kitchen, when women were considered to be weaker vessels, to dream little, she was dreaming big. One of her very big dreams is to become a medical doctor. The next big dream is to go back to Africa with her husband to be, that is Joseph Asagi. Those are very lofty dreams for a woman of her age at that material time. So she is a very assertive character. She is the symbol of the feminist struggle that is a theme that is weaved into Lorian Hansberry's Erasing in the Sun. The next other character is Lena Younger. Of course, Lena Younger appears to be the most important character, so to speak, because it is around her that the entire story revolves. Lena Younger is equally an assertive character. Of course, the playwright carefully crafts her as the head of the family, and that's a statement to feminist struggle. She's the one who bears the financial burden on the family, and for the dream of all other members of the family, while all those dreams were thrown to the dogs, our dream is the only one that materializes. That is the dream of owning a house in a white neighborhood and moving our entire family into a very spacious apartment in a white neighborhood and face the consequences thereof. That is the only dream that comes true in that work, and it's a dream. So the writer consciously makes it that way, that even the character that is supposed to be the male character, that is the husband of Lena Younger, his voice was never heard at all. We only get to see him as a shadow of the past of the family of Younger. So Lena is a very important character in that work. The next other character is Ruth Younger, which I have said is equal an assertive character. That's Ruth Younger is the wife of Walter Lee Younger. And of course, the last character is Travis Younger. Travis Younger is the son of both Walter Lee Younger and Ruth Younger. Now, these are some of the other characters too, like the white characters I talked about. Carl, who persuades Walter Lee to sell off the house they bought at the white neighborhood, and of course, after having fought with his conscience, Watali does not give in to such requests, and of course follows other members of the family into their new white neighborhood. The next other issue in that work is language and style. Now, the use of Chicago dialect was prominent. You know, the blacks then were not educated. Yes, most of them, whatever they spoke was whatever they were able to pick from their white masters. And remember, some of these blacks were slaves captured from West Africa, including our own Nigeria here. Most of them were captured when they were younger here and taken as slaves in plantain farms in the US and in other part of Europe. So they barely spoke the English language. So what the language that was common to them was whatever they could get from their white masters, and of course impose their own grammatical structure from their individual indigenous dialects on the white man's English language. And what you get is what is referred to as black English language. English language that is in the English grammar, not well structured, porous in its structure, but capable enough to accommodate their experiences. That was the language that was common to the black Americans then. So the use of Chicago dialect, for instance, the word gone, we hear Ruth telling the husband, that is Watali, that you gone spoil that boy. That is when Travis makes demand for some money. Okay, Ruth gives Travis just a little portion of the money Travis demands. Watali goes in and brings the complete amount of money Travis demands and gives to him. So it is at that point that Ruth says, you done spoiling that boy. That done there means you have already spoiled the boy. So the done there, which is supposed to be the past participle of the word do, is used to mean have already. So you see them using done as mean you have already spoiled that boy, but she says you done spoil that boy. So we see that this is the use of Chicago dialect. That was the dialect that was common among them. That's for the language. Talking about style, the use of symbols. Of course, Mama's plant. You remember in that story that there is always a mention of a plant owned by Mama. And Mama is Lena, the eldest in the family, you remember. She has a small plant by the back of the compound. And there is always a complaint that the sun, the light rays coming into the house is not enough for the nourishment of this plant. The plant is quite symbolic. Yes, it symbolizes the entire family of Younger. Remember that light rays in this work is used to picture hope and success and survival. So as the plant, whatever